Hey everyone, thanks for stopping by. I hope you're doing great. Today, I want to share something really practical: how to criticize in English without sounding rude. Let's be honest, criticism can be tricky. Sometimes we need to point out mistakes or give feedback, but we don't want to hurt someone's feelings or sound too harsh. The problem is, many of us either avoid saying anything at all, or blurt it out in a way that sounds, well, a little too direct. Wouldn't it be nice to know exactly how to give criticism that's clear, respectful, and even helpful? Let's talk about it. A few years ago, I was working on a group project in an English class. One teammate made a presentation that was, let's just say, not very organized. I wanted to tell him, but my English was limited, so I said, "This is bad." He didn't look happy. After class, I was sitting there, feeling bad about my sudden reply, lost in my own thoughts. The teacher seemed to notice, and came over. "Thinking about your answer?" she asked. I nodded, giving a small wave. She smiled and said, "That sometimes, the way we say something, matters just as much as what we say." She explained that criticism, if too direct, can sound harsh, even though in some settings, being straightforward is considered honest. That moment really stuck with me. It's not just what you say, it's how you say it. From that day on, I began paying close attention to how others gave criticism, noticing the words they chose, and the patterns they followed. It really opened my eyes to how much the delivery matters. The first thing I learned is to start with something positive. Before pointing out a problem, mention what you liked. This is often called the sandwich method. For example, instead of saying, "This report is confusing," you could say, "You've included some great points in this report. I think the structure could be a bit clearer so it's easier to follow." It feels more encouraging and less like a direct attack. Another great tip is to use softening phrases. These are little expressions that make your criticism sound less sharp, such as, "I think it might be better if," "Have you considered," or "Maybe we could try." For example, instead of saying, "You're wrong," you could say, "I see your point, but maybe we could look at it from another angle." It's also important to focus on the problem, not the person. Never attack someone's character. Instead of saying, "You are careless," you could say, "Some parts of the document seem to have small errors, maybe we can fix them together." This way, the other person doesn't feel personally attacked, and they're more likely to accept your feedback. Criticism also feels more helpful when you explain why something needs improvement or offer a suggestion. Instead of saying, "This design doesn't work," you might say, "The colors look nice, but they might be hard to read on small screens. Maybe we can try a lighter background." Giving reasons and offering solutions makes your feedback more constructive. Let's try a few casual examples. "I really like your idea." It might be even stronger if we add more examples. Or, "This draft is good. I think we could make it even better by making the introduction shorter." Or, "I enjoyed your presentation. Maybe next time, speaking a bit slower will help the audience follow along." Notice how these sentences start with something positive, then gently introduce the criticism. "Last month, my friend cooked dinner for me. The taste was, well, interesting. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, so instead of saying, 'This doesn't taste good,' I said, 'I really like the flavors, maybe a little more seasoning would make it perfect.' She laughed and said, 'Ah, I see what you mean. I'll try that next time. Being specific and polite made the conversation light-hearted instead of awkward. Here's one final tip. Try using questions instead of statements. Instead of saying, "You should change this slide," you could ask, "What do you think about making this slide simpler?" This makes the feedback feel like a friendly conversation, not a command. So, to sum it up, start with something positive, use softening phrases, focus on the work and not the person, give reasons or suggestions, and try turning your criticism into a question. With just a little practice, you'll be able to criticize in English in a way that's polite, clear, and even appreciated.